Hey creeps, my name is Cameron and welcome back to Library Macabre. Today, I'm here for part 2 of my March book haul, in which I will show you all of the vintage horror paperbacks that I bought during the month of March. I'm going to link part 1 of my horror book haul down below. Don't worry, you don't have to go and watch that one first. You can watch it after this. This isn't really a sequel. Think of it more as like a companion. In that haul, I talked about all of the newer horror books that I bought, as well as some vintage YA horror. And this one, we're just talking about the adult vintage horror. And I'm gonna start off with a really good one. This one right here is Rocking Horse by William W. Johnstone. Of course, William W. Johnstone is a very well-known name when it comes to vintage horror. He is extremely collectible, especially because we have these amazing covers here. This is, of course, from Zebra Books. Zebra Books always had some of the best covers ever, in my personal opinion, at least. But let's face it, it's pretty much fact. Just look at that cover. I always love when Zebra Books use spooky toys on the cover, just because they look like dusty old toys that you would find in an attic. This is just glorious. And the tagline says, "It was only a painted toy, but its eyes gleamed with evil." It came in the dead of night, a rhythmic creaking sound that only the children could hear. Jackie and Johnny tried not to listen, but it called to them, whispering of evil, luring them into the darkness of the attic. With its brightly colored saddle and painted on eyes, it was the most beautiful rocking horse Jackie and Johnny had ever seen. But as they took turns riding it, they didn't see its tail twitch or its lips curve into a terrifying grin. They couldn't hear the faint whicker that echoed among the shadows. They couldn't know that their own innocent eyes had taken on a strange new gleam. So of course we have a haunted rocking horse that is possibly possessing the kids. I imagine the kids are going to turn evil. That's just what you get with these old vintage horrors. This just sounds really fun. My particular copy has seen some better days. I have the majority of William W. Johnstone's books, and mine are mostly in like mint condition, so this one's gonna stand out a bit, but I'm just really happy to have a copy of this because I've been searching for one for the longest time, and I got this for very, very cheap. So very excited to have this. Very similar, we have Jack in the Box. This is also by William W. Johnstone and published by Zebra Books. This copy is just a little bit better. It doesn't have the spine creases, though it does have a lot of wear and tear to the covers. She was a beautiful child, a perfect child. With her blonde hair and baby doll prettiness, she was the picture of angelic innocence. Philip Baxter pushed aside his uneasiness about his strangely self-possessed daughter. She was just an ordinary kid, and to his relief, she did act like an ordinary kid when he brought home a special present, just for her. Alone in her room, Nora couldn't wait to open the antique Jack-in-the-Box. She couldn't wait to watch the hand-carved clown's head bob back and forth, its glass eyes staring at her, its lips drawn back into an insane grin. Any other little girl might have cringed in horror, but as Nora's wide eyes mirrored the grotesque wooden face, her pink lips were curving into the same malicious smile. Plot sounds familiar, right? It sounds really similar to another book by William W. Johnstone. I don't care. Sounds fun. I am all for it. We have 2 more books by William W. Johnstone. These are also from Zebra, though these were printed a little bit later in the late 90s. So we have Rockabilly Hell and Rockabilly Limbo. These are a duology, so they go together. This duology is about an old-fashioned music venue along this stretch of highway in the middle of nowhere, and people are going missing on this highway, and the venue might be linked to that. I'm guessing it has something to do with hell. Probably. From 1989, we have a book published by Leisure. This is called Pagada, I think. This is by R. Carl Largent, and this has a really cool step-back cover art. Look at that. I have a dragon there. It says, "Be careful what you wish for. It just might come true." This is about a dude who buys this miniature from this shop, and of course you can grant your every wish, your every desire. I'm guessing that there are going to be some consequences involved because It's a horror novel, man. There's always consequences. I also have a copy of The Shaman. This is by Frank Coffey. This edition is published by Playboy Press. This is like the second edition, I believe. Yeah, this edition was published in 1982, though it looks like it was originally published in 1980. This is actually the second copy of this that I own. I also have this copy that was published in 1988. This is from Paperbacks, so as you can see, they're pretty similar. There's just a couple of differences. This one sounds pretty interesting. It says, Kate Whitworth's stepfather was a scholar who died in Mexico while researching the Aztecs. They were an enigmatic race that ruled with terror and blood. Their loathsome religious rites were all but extinct until they were revived by one faithful shaman and his acolyte. One ingredient was necessary for the final ascension to godhood: the still beating heart torn from the body of a 13-year-old virgin, Kate's daughter. So obviously we're getting into a lot of occulty stuff here and gods and monsters, so that sounds like an interesting time. I'm a little confused about this next one. I don't know if this is YA or adult. It kind of looks like a YA book, but it doesn't say anywhere, so it's hard to tell. This is The Nightwalkers by Otto Kuntz. That's spelled with a C, by the way, not a K. The tagline of this says, "Beware the creatures of darkness. They will come to claim your soul." It looks pretty YA to me, which I love. I love vintage YA books. Those are my favorite to read. I kind of actually hope that this is YA. A strange evil fills the night, and nothing alive is safe. Dead birds are everywhere. A prowling cat searches the dark for prey, and suddenly a mysterious sickness plagues the school. Only Nora senses the menace. An alien force that possesses her friends, invades their bodies, destroys their souls. Soon they will come for her. Now Nora must stop the spreading evil, save the innocent victims before she is forced on the deadly march of the Nightwalker. All right, don't kill me. I have never read a Ray Garton book, which a lot of you well-seasoned vintage horror fans are probably gonna want to smack me in the face, but I promise you I will read one of his books. In fact, I'm probably gonna start with this one. This is Darklings. This was published by Pinnacle Books in 1985, and I believe this is one of his better known books. Are you safe in your house? Look around you. Is your world familiar, comfortable? Does it seem the same today as it was yesterday? It isn't. Something is loose in your world that wasn't there before. Something terrible. It is born of the devil, nurtured in evil, and set loose to do its vile work. It moves its foul form with a sleek, sudden, malevolent grace. It comes, it touches, it takes over. Then the horror begins. An aging surgeon, a captured fugitive, a pregnant mother, an innocent hospital worker. Each is its victim, driven by a grotesque impulse to acts of murder, mayhem, nymphomania, infanticide, cannibalism. Can it be stopped? Perhaps, but the battle will be waged by a few brave, desperate souls on the edge of hell, while Satan awaits the triumph of his cherished Darkling. Sounds crazy, and I hear Ray Garton's books are especially insane, so should be a bonkers good time. Next we have The Boneyard. This is actually a short story collection. It says it was published in hardcover as Night Visions 6. So this has stories by F. Paul Wilson, Sherry S. Tepper, and Ray Garton yet again. This Berkeley edition was published in May of 1981, though this is a later printing, so it's much newer looking. So excited for this one. This is called Out of the Night by Patrick Whalen. This was published in September 1990 by Pocket Books. Pocket Books always has a lot of really good titles. This is about a series of murders that were committed in a cemetery in a small town a century ago, and now a century later, the murders are happening again. I love books that take place in a cemetery. Cemeteries are one of my favorite places to be. I know that sounds weird, but that's just me. So I love reading books that take place in cemeteries. So this sounds cool. It also has a hand bursting out of a grave. I don't know what it is about vintage books that have hands just bursting out of the ground or bursting out of water. I have so many books in my collection that have this exact same cover, but I love it. I don't really care how overused it is. I just enjoy it very much. This one's really interesting. This was published in 1975 by Tiger Beat. I've never heard of this publisher before. This is called Teenage Mysteries, Volume 1. It says here that this contains 6 full-length thrilling tales of mystery and adventure. Follow 5 of the most adventurous and shrewd teenagers, you've ever met, as they get involved in and solve 6 of the most exciting mysteries you've ever heard. This sounds, of course, more like a YA book, but a lot of the mysteries involve ghosts and spooky things, so it's still kind of horror. I was so excited to get this. This is Deathbringer by Dana Reed. This is one that I've been looking for a very long time because I love the cover for one, and I've been trying to collect all of Dana Reed's books. This was actually sent to me by a friend of mine, so thanks so much, Michael. I really appreciate you sending this to me because I've been needing this book. And it's kind of hard to get. It's really hard to find, especially in good condition. This one's pretty nice. It does have spine creases, of course, but this will be a good reading copy for me. East Cove had always been a charming, sleepy little place until the bloody, nightmarish killings began, leaving many of the townspeople literally torn to shreds. Literally. Who or what is the fiendish slayer that only strikes when the moon is full? Is it Frank Foster, hideously deformed and hidden away in the dungeon-like basement of his mother's house? Or the voodoo priest who can call forth the restless dead from their graves? Or the driver of the mysterious black van that cruises East Cove's streets in the dark of night, striking terror into the hearts of all who see it pass? One being has imposed his will on both the living and the undead. But who is he? And can his evil be destroyed before the village drowns in a sea of madness and blood? My friend also sent me a copy of The Darkest Part of the Woods by Ramsey Campbell. I've never read any of Ramsey Campbell's work, though this one is the one that's recommended to me the most. This is also about a small town in which killings are being committed in the forest, so sounds fun, a little bit occulty, and I'm loving this cover with all of the autumn colors. If you've read a lot of Ramsey Campbell, let me know if this is a good one to start with. I hear it is, but I'd like to get more opinions before I dive in, because he's got a lot of books out there. Next up, I have a few reading copies. So I have mint condition copies of these books, so I'm always like on the lookout for reading copies because I don't really want to damage any of my copies that are in really nice shape, because let's face it, they're really hard to find in good condition and they're very valuable. So if I can find a reading copy of any of these books and I don't have to worry about ruining the spines or anything while I'm reading, it takes a lot of stress off of me while I'm reading. So here we have another Zebra book. This is called Dream House by Christopher Fahey. One of my favorite covers of all time. Just look at that. I love a bloody axe on a cover, as well as a creepy doll, and this just combines the two, which is awesome. David Willis hated Maine. Which I'm already hating David Willis, because who would hate Maine? He hated being the new kid in school, and he hated living in Murderer's Hollow, the house where so many people had died years before. He tried to believe what his father kept saying, that all the house needed was a little fixing up and it would be as good as new. Then the dreams began. Dreams that held David in a grip of terror. His parents called it an overactive imagination, but David knew better. David knew now that no amount of paint could hide the blood-stained past. The house was trying to tell him something he didn't want to hear, something from which there was no escape. I don't know if this is going to involve a doll with a bloody hatchet. Probably not, but we'll see. Whew, I needed to go eat something and get something to drink. I don't know if any of you other booktubers out there have this issue, but whenever I sit down to film, and I'm filming for a long period of time and talking a lot, I get kind of like weirdly like dizzy or disoriented. And I don't know if maybe it's from my lighting or I'm just focusing so hard on what I'm saying and I'm so bad at talking and socializing that it's just like overwhelming to me. But I always feel kind of dizzy and nauseous after I'm done filming. As I'm loading up my footage to my computer, I always have to go lay down and take a break because I just feel like kind of sick. Like I literally feel ill, like I'm coming down with something. And I'm not, because I always feel better after I rest for a while. But sometimes it knocks me out for a couple of hours where I'm not feeling well. So if any of you other booktubers out there have that issue, please let me know, because I'm curious to see if it's just me or if anybody else has that issue. Anyway, moving on to the reading copies that I have. Here we have Stinger. This is by Robert R. McCammon. Never read any of Robert R. McCammon's work. I know it sounds awful because he's like a beloved author. I don't know if this is a good place to start or not. For all of you seasoned McCammon fans, definitely let me know if this is a good one to start with. But I really love the cover, because we have a hand bursting out of the ground, which I already said, I love that. And we have one more reading copy here. This is Last Rites. This was published by Charter in 1985. I have a really nice copy of this one. As you can see, there's a little bit of a difference there. I would much rather read this copy and not risk ruining this really beautiful copy. And that is all for the vintage horror that I bought in the month of March. Of course, March was my birthday month, so went a little bit crazy, but I got some really good deals on these. I did not spend very much money on any of these books. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, please, please don't forget to give me a like down below, especially since you watched this far. I'm pretty sure you must have been enjoying the video, so a like would help me out so much. Really, it truly does. Also, if you've read any of these books, please leave me a comment down below just letting me know what you thought, and I will catch you creeps in the next episode of Library Macabre. Later, creeps.